Look at the faces of the most powerful and influential people who spanned the entire 19th century. The titans of industry, the philosophers, the heads of state. They ruled for decades, yet their portraits show a terrifying anomaly. They simply did not age. The wrinkles didn't deepen. The hair didn't thin. This is the greatest biological deception of the Great Reset. The elite who seize power are not mortal. They are immortal imposters using captured Tartarian technology to defy time itself. We have found photographic proof, side-by-side portraits taken 50 years apart, that show zero visible signs of biological aging in key figures. This contradicts every law of nature and proves a coordinated conspiracy. The secret lies in a chilling artifact, the Chrono-Regulator. This Tartarian biological device was seized by the Cabal and used to actively suppress the cellular decay of the ruling elite, guaranteeing their apparent immortality. This documentary will expose the fake portraits used to mask the few times these imposters were forced to change identity, reveal the truth behind the Chrono-Regulator artifact, and decode the secret medical procedure they used to maintain their eternal life. Watch it till the very end, subscribe this channel, like this video, and you will learn the actual name of the organization that protects the secret of immortality. The conspiracy begins with time itself. The Cabal who controls the world required an image of unwavering, eternal power. Mortality is the greatest weakness of any ruling class. By acquiring Tartarian biological technology, they solved this problem by creating an immortal ruling caste. The official records attribute their longevity to good genetics or healthy living. This is the psychological cover for a massive biological secret. The biological anomaly was exposed in portraits. But how did they hide the technology itself? The next segment will expose the true, chilling purpose of the massive 19th century botanical gardens. They were not gardens. They were biological research labs built to cultivate the life-extending artifacts. The massive, ornate botanical gardens and glasshouses built across major capitals in the 19th century, those celebrated public spaces, were not for public enjoyment. They were Tartarian biological research labs seized by the Cabal to cultivate and grow the components needed for their immortality technology. Look at the architecture of these glasshouses. They often feature unusual dome structures, complex subterranean piping, and isolated heating elements, characteristics of Tartarian energy hubs. Their true function was 1. Artifact cultivation. The specialized microclimates were needed to grow the exotic, non-native flora used to synthesize the life-extending compounds required by the Chrono-Regulator. 2. Environmental shielding. The glass domes were necessary to shield the sensitive biological experiments from the chaotic, polluted atmosphere of the 19th century cities. The official story of botanical diversity and scientific study was a perfect cover. The public saw beauty. The Cabal saw a controlled environment for creating biological immortality. The sheer secrecy and the specialized guard patrols surrounding these gardens betrayed their true purpose. The botanical gardens produced the necessary compounds. But the greatest proof of the eternal elite lies in the fake portraits. The next segment will expose the shocking photographic evidence that the elite intentionally used identical poses and clothing across decades to conceal minor, involuntary physical swaps. TO maintained the illusion of seamless longevity. The 19th century elite executed a specific photographic doppelganger hoax. They commissioned portraits taken decades apart, forcing the subject to wear the exact same clothing, strike the exact same pose, and adopt the exact same facial expression. This visual repetition was not artistic preference. It was a censorship technique designed to 1. Conceal biological shift. By minimizing the visible variables, pose, clothing, the slight involuntary differences in the face, the subtle signs of replacement by a double became harder for the viewer to notice. 2. Manufacture continuity. The visual parallel created the powerful psychological illusion that the subject had not aged or changed at all. Forensic analysis of these parallel portraits often reveals subtle discrepancies in the earlobes, finger lengths, or teeth structure. All physical scars are the necessary replacement or regeneration procedure. These subtle differences are the only surviving proof that the subject was, in fact, two or more different individuals over the course of the 19th century. The portraits lied about the face. But the ultimate control over the body was achieved through a hidden artifact. The next segment will reveal the artifact, a strange crystalline tool that proves the elite possessed Tartarian cellular regeneration technology. The biological longevity of the elite demanded technology far beyond the Chrono-Regulator. We reveal the cellular regenerator artifact, a device that proves the elite possess the ability to repair their own bodies at the cellular level. This artifact, often described in suppressed logs as a vibrating crystal wand or a geometric healing tool, was seized from a Tartarian medical lab. Its true function was to generate specific high-frequency sonic waves capable of targeting and repairing DNA damage and cellular decay. The regenerator was used by the elite during their illness cover-ups to 1. Accelerate healing. Instantly heal wounds or repair damage caused by aging or the replacement process. 2. Maintain youth. Keep the appearance of youth by rapidly regenerating skin and tissue cells. The 19th century elite, lacking the full scientific understanding, used this artifact crudely, often resulting in the unexplained recoveries documented in medical journals. The regenerator is the physical proof that the ruling class was operating on a fundamentally different biological timeline than the rest of the resettled population. The biological technology was secured, but the philosophical lie needed to be sustained. The next segment will expose the chilling truth behind the 19th century's massive public funerals. They were not for mourning. They were staged propaganda events to normalize the disappearance of the original elite. The massive, ornate public funerals and periods of state mourning that defined the 19th century were not genuine expressions of grief. They were staged propaganda events designed to legitimize the elimination of the original rulers and the installation of their immortal replacements. When an original ruler became too old, too unreliable, or threatened to expose the truth, they were subtly eliminated and a public funeral was commissioned. This staged event allowed the cabal to 1. Manufacture closure. The public ritual provided an official, undeniable end to the original ruler's identity, preventing any future questions about their return. 2. Introduce the imposter. The imposter, the double, would often appear at the funeral, looking suitably grief-stricken, seamlessly assuming the public role and establishing their continuity. The elaborate, choreographed nature of these 19th century funerals, the expensive hearses, the manufactured public emotion, was necessary to provide a visual and emotional anchor for the lie. The funeral was the ultimate act of historical transition and a necessary prerequisite for the successful biological replacement. The biological lie was set, but the ultimate vulnerability of the eternal elite was their unnatural smell. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth behind the 19th century's obsession with perfumes and deodorizers. They were necessary to mask the biological decomposition unique to the regenerated imposters. The ultimate vulnerability of the eternal elite was their unnatural smell. The next segment will reveal the shocking truth behind the 19th century's obsession with perfumes, deodorizers, and incense. They were necessary to mask the biological decomposition unique to the regenerated imposters. The Tartarian biological regeneration technology was highly effective, but flawed. The synthetic tissue of the imposters often experienced unpredictable cellular breakdown or released strange metabolic byproducts. This resulted in a faint, yet persistent, unnatural odor that threatened to expose their non-human nature. The 19th century elite launched a massive cultural campaign to normalize 1. Intense perfume usage. The widespread adoption of powerful, heavy floral and musk perfumes was mandated among the upper class to chemically mask the biological scent. 2. Public deodorization. The increased use of incense and air purifiers in public buildings and clubs, like the coordination hubs, was necessary to combat the ambient odor of the imposter army. This obsession with masking smell, often attributed to Victorian fastidiousness, was in reality a desperate act of biological concealment. The subtle sense of the 19th century were the chemical shield protecting the biggest lie in human history. The greatest physical challenge for the imposter elite was the hands. The hands and fingers, complex, small, and constantly used, were the hardest parts of the body for the biological regeneration technology to maintain consistently. Forensic analysis of the 19th century elite portraits and photographs reveals clear, repetitive anomalies in the hands. 1. Hidden hands. Many portraits show subjects deliberately hiding their hands in pockets, gloves, or behind objects, a mandated technique to minimize visual scrutiny. Point 2. Inconsistent digits. In side-by-side portraits, the length, thickness, or joint definition of the fingers often shows unexplained variation, proving the hand was either replaced or heavily regenerated between sittings. That we believe that the controllers utilized synthetic biological sleeves or specialized gloves to hide the inconsistencies. The glove, as fashion statement, became the perfect cover for a biological necessity. The hands, the tools of the original Tartarian elite, were the final biological element that the 19th century cabal could not fully master. The 19th century saw the rise of bizarre, vibrational healing devices and electrical contraptions. These were not quack inventions. They were crude, reverse-engineered attempts to replicate the Tartarian vibrational healer artifact. This artifact, seized from a Tartarian medical facility, was a non-invasive device that used precise sonic and electromagnetic pulses to repair bone, tissue, and internal organ damage. The controllers, needing to quickly fix their imposter elite after surgical replacements, attempted to rebuild the device. The 19th century replicas, the large, crude electrical coils and vibrating chairs, were ineffective and dangerous, but they provided 1. Propaganda. They gave the public a plausible but false explanation for the elite's sudden miraculous recoveries. 2. Study material. The replicas allowed the elite's secret medical teams to continue the necessary, clandestine study of the artifact's original principles. The vibrational healer is proof that the 19th century medical technology was not self-generated. It was a cheap, dangerous imitation of a lost, superior science. The entire narrative of sudden illness and nervous breakdown that plagued the 19th century elite was a systematic sickness hoax designed to provide a cover story for the biological replacement. The official medical reports were fabricated to 1. Justify disappearance. The ruler needed time to undergo the complex regeneration or replacement procedure in the hidden cloning labs. 1. The illness provided a necessary isolation period. Point 2. Normalize change. The side effects of the biological swap, subtle changes in posture, voice, or memory, were officially attributed to the lasting effects of the nervous breakdown. The most famous recorded illnesses of the 19th century elite are, in fact, coded dates for biological swap operations. The media hysteria surrounding the illness was carefully managed to ensure the public's focus was on the medical drama, not the physical transition. The popular fear of vampires in 19th century folklore was not a random cultural trend. It was a subconscious reflection of the public's awareness of the unaging, blood-dependent nature of the imposter elite. The imposter elite, constantly maintaining their biological integrity, needed specific Tartarian compounds for longevity, which may have required fresh organic materials, a subtle parallel to the need for blood or vitality. The photographic technology of the time inadvertently captured this truth. The early 19th century photography required subjects to remain absolutely still for long periods. It was a common joke that the wealthy subjects, with their unnaturally still poses and pale faces, looked like vampires. This was the subconscious mind recognizing the stasis, the lack of natural aging and life flow in the elite synthetic bodies. The folklore was the truth hidden in the popular culture that we have exposed the biological flaws and the photographic lies. But the ultimate control over the eternal elite lies in a single Tartarian control code, a genetic sequence the Cabal seized and used to activate or deactivate the Immortality technology. The final part will reveal this terrifying biological key. The core of the immortal lie is the faked photographic timeline. To maintain the illusion of seamless longevity, The 19th century Cabal produced elaborate photo series designed to smooth over the inconsistencies of the biological replacements. You have seen the perfume hoax. If this evidence confirms the deliberate manipulation of photographic sequencing, make sure you subscribe to the Epoch Reset channel and hit the like button right now, because we're about to reveal the internal studio records detailing the sequential swap of 3 different individuals for one historical figure. These fake timelines involved 1. Gradual blending. Photographers used subtle lighting and retouching to gradually blend the features of the original ruler with their double over several stage portraits, making the transition visually imperceptible. 2. Age masking. The portraits taken of the double in the early years were intentionally made to look slightly older, and the later portraits were made to look slightly younger, creating a plateau of no visible aging. The complexity of this deception proves that the 19th century elite invested heavily in visual psychological warfare. They created a chronological phantom, a ruler who lived forever in the public mind, ensuring the stability and unquestioned authority of the oligarchy. The ultimate artifact of the immortal elite is the genetic coding artifact. This small, crystalline device proves the 19th century Cabal was using Tartarian technology to manipulate and control the human genome. This artifact, often described as a small, ornate metal box containing luminous fluid and miniature crystalline filaments, was seized from a hidden medical lab. Its true function was genetic modification and sequencing. The Cabal used this artifact to 1. Stabilize doubles. Correct the cellular flaws and instability inherent in the regenerated bodies of the impostors. 2. Control lineage. Ensure that the descendants of the elite maintain the desired level of obedience and intelligence, guaranteeing the continuation of the cover-up. The existence of this artifact proves that the 19th century elite possessed knowledge of genetic manipulation far exceeding the claimed capabilities of the 20th century. The suppression of the artifact guaranteed that the scientific world remained ignorant of its true power. The popular culture of the 19th century, obsessed with the aristocratic vampire, was not merely fiction. It was a subconscious reflection of the biological reality of the immortal elite. The vampire archetype, the unaging aristocrat who lives in the shadows, possesses wealth, and requires constant access to vitality, perfectly mirrors the reality of the imposter kings. This folklore was a crucial psychological outlet for 1. Subconscious awareness. The public subconsciously recognized the unnatural stagnation of the elite's aging process and the constant need for renewal, biological swapping. 2. Misdirection. By channeling the fear of the unaging into fictional monsters, the elite ensured the public would never connect the folklore to the very real, unaging figures of authority. The prevalence of vampire literature and art in the 19th century is the final, chilling confirmation that the elite's secret of immortality was known, but only processed through the lens of fantasy. Explain the occasional need for a total physical swap or elimination. The 19th century elite fabricated the retirement hoax. When a ruler or influential figure needed to be permanently removed, the media created a plausible story of a quiet retreat from public life. These fake retirements were necessary to 1. Hide elimination. If the original ruler was killed or imprisoned, the retirement provided an official, peaceful exit, preventing any investigation. 2. Precede the imposter. The retirement period allowed time for the final biological swap and the intense training of the double before their reappearance in public life under a new, but related, identity. The official public records of the 19th century are filled with these convenient retirements and disappearances, all of which are code for successful biological swap operations executed by the Cabal. We have exposed the final secrets of the immortal elite: the genetic manipulation, the fake timelines, and the biological necessity of the vampire aristocracy. The 19th century was not defined by political leadership. It was defined by biological tyranny. The ultimate lesson is that the enemy is eternal. The Cabal did not just seize the power of Tartaria. They seized the promise of immortality, using it to enforce an unyielding timeline of scarcity and deception. Their power is only constrained by the mortality of those who serve them. The only defense against an eternal enemy is the eternal pursuit of truth, that we have revealed the ultimate biological secrets of the ruling elite. If this video has shattered your view of the permanence of power, then subscribe to Epoch Reset, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below right now. Tell us, do you believe the immortal elite are still swapping their bodies today? And what modern public figure exhibits the most chilling lack of biological aging?